Welcome back to the Empire State Sports Report. I'm your host, Adrianna, also known as New York Giants fangirl on social media. The Empire State Sports Report is brought to you by Believe and FanDuel. Today, I have a very special guest. I am welcoming SNY beat writer for the Giants and the Jets, Connor Hughs. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a blast.
Anytime. I'm excited to have you. I was at camp today and we saw some good things and some bad things. I know you've been at a lot of the Giants practices. So what has stood out to you so far this year for the Giants?
Yeah, I think I actually talked about that today on SNY because we have to do these little like post-practice videos and like little recaps, and I feel like so many of them have been Malik Neighbors centered and starting and kind of ending with Malik Neighbors. And you know, I would love to do a couple of them where you talk about someone else, but he really does make that almost impossible. Like, I mean, I joke all the time when people ask me about like quarterbacks because the majority of my career has been covering the Jets. And then I did a little bit of Giants in 2014, Jets for a while, and then came back to the Giants a couple years ago. I saw Eli Manning win that first year in Ben McAdoo's offense, which if you remember about that summer, he was a disaster because it was like the first time he's learning a new offense, so he looked terrible. After that, I'd never had a franchise quarterback to cover. So like I know all about bad quarterbacks. The one thing that I actually know about good positions is receivers, because there have actually been a decent amount of them in my career, whether it was like rookie Odell, Garrett Wilson, Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker. Like there's been a handful of really good wideouts that I've covered. I've never quite seen one like Malik Neighbors. I mean, this guy is a superstar freak. I mean, it's. I was talking about it with Dan Duggan today, where it's scary how similar he is to Jamar Chase, where it's like the build, the play style, the way the Giants are now using him in, out, his ability to make plays deep despite not being a 6'5" guy. He is a freak, and it's day in and day out. He's doing something out there where you have to watch it. Like you have to watch this guy. And then on the other side of the ball, you can pretty much say all the same things about Abdul Carter. I mean, he's just as good, but Neighbors, just from a man, that guy is different perspective. He's one of one. He is one of one.
I feel that way when I've been doing my practice recaps. I'm like, there's no one that compares. It's Malik Neighbors and Abdul Carter and, you know, Burns and Kayvon and, you know, some of the other wide receivers are fun to watch. Montreal Washington has made some really nice catches and things like that. But it's just nothing compares. There's like every day it's like Malik does something different and Carter does something exciting. And it's the one thing that has been consistent throughout this camp. But what I will say is, as a fan too, what's excited me is Russell Wilson. And I know there are a lot of fans who are like, he's not Super Bowl winning Russell Wilson and this and that. But like you said, you've seen a lot of different quarterbacks and none of them have really been franchise quarterbacks. Since Eli, I feel the same way as a fan. You know, like the last 5 years, we've seen Mike Glennon, Tim Boyle, Jake Fromm. Like we've seen some bad quarterback play. So, you know, I think there's reason to be optimistic about someone like Russell Wilson. What are the biggest things that you've seen from him and any concerns that you have based on camp so far?
Yeah, I mean, just concern-wise, there's a reason he's going to be on his fourth team in 5 years. I mean, that's real. That's not fake. And when you have some really, really, really good coaches who have decided they don't want him anymore, whether it's Mike Tomlin, who's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame someday, Sean Payton, who's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame someday. I mean, those guys' opinions matter. So what I think, what other people think, sometimes when like those guys who are really, really good at what they do and they say, we kind of want to go elsewhere with this, it tells you kind of where Russell Wilson is at this stage in his career. However, for where the Giants were in their stage, where they had let Daniel Jones go, when they missed out on getting Matt Stafford, when they missed out on getting Aaron Rodgers, and they settled on Russell Wilson, he's the quarterback that they needed for this point in time. This is what they needed to have. And, you know, I think one of the many things that derailed Daniel Jones last year was his confidence was shot. Early in Daniel's career, and I wasn't covering him, but I remember talking to people that did. His problem was he would overshoot guys. And then all of a sudden now he's second guessing, he's holding, he's not taking the shots, he's underthrowing guys. Like all that stuff was just not what Daniel Jones did. And suddenly he was doing it. And I think it held the Giants offense back because there were plays there to be made deep down the field and he was just gun shy. He wasn't doing it. And even where he never threw with anticipation whatsoever, he had to see it to let it go. And even then he wouldn't let it go. The one thing about Russell is he does not lack confidence. He is, if anything, he is overly confident. And I think the the area that will make the Giants offense more successful than it's been the last couple of years, even though I don't necessarily think Russell Wilson is a great quarterback at this stage in his career, he's going to be aggressive with the ball. He's going to take shots down the field. And we see it 3-4 times every single practice, whether it's to Wan'Dale, whether it was to Slayton before he started working in and out, Neighbors 2 or 3 times a day. He's going to give his guys opportunities to make plays down the field. It's going to be on his receivers to make them. And ultimately how that looks, we'll see. But at the minimum, that is an element to the Giants offense that has been missing for quite some time.
Definitely. It's been interesting. I've heard so many reports from players who, whenever they're asked about Russell Wilson or asked about the quarterback position, everyone says the same thing. And it's, I've never seen leadership like this. And it makes you wonder what was going on in the locker room over the last few years. And I think a big part of that, like you talked about, is just the confidence that comes with someone like Russell Wilson, with the career that he's had, with all of the different players that he's worked with and, the games that he's won and things like that, is that I think that alone has done a number for some of the younger guys on the field, especially someone like Jaylen Hyatt, who has, really made it a point this year to prove, I think, that he's worth that 4th wide receiver roster spot. Do you think Giants fans should be optimistic about Hyatt from what you've seen?
Yeah. My thing with Hyatt is that he definitely looks better. I mean, he made a catch, a touchdown today in the red zone that was contested in traffic, had to kind of find his way open in the back of the end zone, and then Russell Wilson found him. And those were plays that we did not see from Hyatt last year. And I'm not even talking about the regular season when he was basically a non-factor. I'm talking about in training camp, where with the Giants were trying everything they could to give him that starting job opposite Malik Neighbors. Like, they wanted desperately Jaylen Hyatt to be that guy because it makes him all look good. I mean, he's a draft pick. He's a success story. Like, let it happen. And then it just became the point where they couldn't, and they had to turn to Slayton. He wasn't making those plays last year. And I think there is a newfound confidence about him. There's a newfound swagger about him. Like, we were talking, the giant towel hanging down his leg. Like, there's a chip on his shoulder, and he believes that he's a top tier receiver in the NFL. He believes he should be out there 30, 40 plays a game. Now, I don't necessarily think that's going to happen because Slayton is still on this roster, barring injury to him or Neighbors. And I think that's ultimately kind of where I fall with Hyatt, is that where is his role on the team? I don't think this is going to be like last year where he was playing 3 snaps a game. They were sending him deep once and then pulling him back. But it's clear that when the Giants are healthy, when their receiving core is healthy, Brian Daboll has a lot of confidence in Neighbors for obvious reasons, Wan'Dale and Slayton. And then you've got Hyatt after that. I'm just curious how many plays he's going to be able to find for Hyatt when he's also trying to get those other 3 guys on the field. But either way, I mean, it does seem like Hyatt is back in a much better headspace, determined, motivated, and buying in. Because it was never a skill thing with him last year. It was never that. It was mentally, I think he checked out, and he didn't trust the coaches, didn't think the coaches trusted him, and that's what really derailed him. And it goes back to Daniel. Like, you made the comment about all these players that are openly being like, oh my God, the leadership we've never seen, And it's like, damn, was Daniel a really bad leader? No, he wasn't. It was just when the Giants made that full court press to go try to get a quarterback last year, whether it was Jaden or Drake May. I mean, that's telling you we don't believe in you anymore. And I think that just did a number on Daniel, that even when he came back, I mean, it's easy to like use that as like a chip on your shoulder and say, oh, I'm going to go say like, F those guys, you should have believed in me. But still, when you're suiting up for a team that very clearly didn't believe in you, it wears you down. And then you got the fans that kind of get on his back. The media were on his back. They weren't winning games, and it just all kind of derailed. That I'm sure he wasn't exactly, I don't think he's a bad leader. I just don't think he was necessarily in the huddle expressing the same confidence that they're getting in Russell Wilson. And that's what's resonating throughout the team right now.
Yeah, definitely. I think from like perspective of the offense all being on the same team and just kind of have an idea of what's going on, I think Russell is also going to provide a big difference for that. With that being said, the offensive line is obviously Giants fans' worst nightmare every single year.
Yeah.
But I've seen some good things out of Evan Neal. Some things he needs to work on, but I think the move to guard was a good move so far. Between him and GVR, do you feel like he's getting to the point where he might be able to push that starting role outside of GVR or instead of GVR?
It's so tough because I genuinely believe we'd be able to answer that question a lot more if we had the luxury of seeing the all 22 and being able to watch replays. But in camp, like, when you're there, you kind of have to pick one spot. Like it's whether you're watching this guy or that guy or just following the ball, unless you're literally saying, okay, then maybe I'll do that. I'm at Giants practice, not tomorrow, but the next day. Maybe I'll do it. I'll just watch Evan Neal all day. But like, unless you're literally watching just him, it's hard to realize what he's doing. So there are some plays, and I think Jesse Pennick pointed this out, where it's almost feels sometimes like he guesses, and it's like he guesses what the defender is going to do. And if he can get his hands on the guy, he has some athleticism. He has some legitimate brute strength where he will outmuscle guys. But if he guesses wrong, that's when you see the balance issues that have been so evident and so obvious his first couple of years. And probably his biggest downfall is he just has bad balance. And if he gets off balance or if he gets a little off, he's on the ground. And he's just on the ground far too often. And I don't – there have been moments where I was like, wow, Evan Neal looked really good there. There have been several others where it's like, oh, boy. And it's like, wow, he literally got – now, granted, it's Dexter Lawrence who does this to everybody, but at one point, Dex just threw him aside like a rag doll. And a couple of plays in the one-on-ones where he was blown by, Darius Alexander got by him. And it's like, man, that doesn't look very good. So gun to my head, ultimately, I still think the job's going to be GVR's. I mean, the Giants are going to give Evan Neal every single opportunity to be their starting guard because, again, it looks good. There is, and this isn't a Giants thing. This is an NFL thing. There are politics involved, and it is – Evan Neal is a draft pick. He's a first-round pick by this regime. So ideally, he becomes their starting guard, and he has a Mekhi Becton-like career renaissance and then takes off. It could get to the point where, like, you just can't do it, and you have to put GVR out there, and you have to put Van Roten because, well, I don't think Van Roten's this Pro Bowl level guard. He's a serviceable NFL player, and you can survive with that if he's surrounded by decent players around him. You mentioned the offensive line just as totality. I think that's probably my biggest concern with them right now is what they look like without Andrew Thomas, because there have been a number of pressures. Now, it's tough. We're going to learn a lot with the joint practices against the Jets next week. Like, that's going to be a really big tell because the Giants have a very good pass rush. Burns, Thibodeau, Carter, Dex, like those guys are top tier elite level players. You can make an argument that there's probably not a better 1-2-3 punch in the entire NFL with those guys. My thing is like, well, is the line struggling because of the pass rush, or is the line struggling because they're not that good? Like they haven't been great run blocking. Like they haven't been great opening holes on the ground. The pass rush isn't getting home. So I really want to see those joints against the Jets before like sounding the alarms. But that is one area of concern for me, specifically when Thomas is not out there.
Yeah, and that's what I've been trying to decipher, especially when it comes to something like the run defense too. Like, is the run defense that bad? Is it because they're not tackling? Is it because they tell the running backs to continue on running so it looks like no one touched them? I'm dying for preseason because I feel like you said, like between that and the Jets Giants practice, it will be the first sign of like, okay, where do we really sound the alarm here and where should we be worried? The last thing I want to talk about with the offensive line is James Hudson. And then what do you think based on what you've seen from Andrew Thomas? Do you think we see him week 1 or it's going to be Hudson?
Ooh, we haven't seen Thomas. That's the problem. Is like, I mean, aside from like the working out with the trainer on the side, which you can't tell anything from. Like you can try, but you really can't. And my biggest worry with Thomas is that when he gets out, he'll play this year. But like when he gets out there, how long is he going to stay out there? Because and then when he gets out there, say he does stay out there, what kind of player does he look like? It's very, very hard for a player to spend the majority of one season on the injured reserve, come back and just hit the ground running the next year.
Yeah.
It's increasingly more difficult when a player misses virtually 2 full years and then tries to go back out there and be any semblance of the player that he once was. That's a lot of time to miss, like a lot of time. Again, if anyone can do it, I think it's Thomas, like, because he is a top tier elite level franchise tackle when he's out there. But you do have the concerns of, oh boy, like what will almost are the Giants relying too much on him being the Andrew Thomas of old and not an insurance policy of like, hey, should we almost prepare like he's not going to be the same. And then if he is the same, sweat off our back, we're great, as opposed to just being like, oh yeah, he's going to be good. I will say, I think Hudson's been a little bit better than I expected. Like after seeing him a little bit in OTAs and minicamp, it was like, oh boy, like the pads have come on, and I don't think he's a franchise elite level offensive. I don't think he's a starting left tackle in the NFL long term. But if he's your swing guy, if he's your like break glass in case of emergency, they're in a much better situation to withstand Andrew Thomas not being ready week 1 or Thomas missing a couple games than they were a year ago when they had to go to Azudu. And then who was it that they signed off like someone's practice squad and he was starting the next week. So they're in a better position now with him. Like I think he's been solid once the pads have come on.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm optimistic about Hudson, and I also feel like I will take him any day instead of Joshua Azudu. And I can't for the life of me figure out why they still have not had a set plan at left tackle. But I know that I think there have been a couple reps where maybe Marcus Bowe was playing at left tackle a little bit. So maybe that's the plan for the future, I hope. But one thing I want to cover off on the offense, and then we can move to the defense, is Jackson Dart, because I think he's looked better as time has gone on. Something that I've noticed is that it seems like he's processing through his reads a little bit faster than he was at this point a week or so ago. He knows how to slide, which was glorious. I saw that and was like, oh, thank God. That's one of the things that I was really worried about. In like 6 years of Daniel Jones, who never figured out how to slide, and we're seeing it from Jackson Dart in training camp. I have faith. But there's been this I don't know what it is, like obsession with fans, and like we have to see Jackson Dart and we should see Jackson Dart by week 4. From what I've seen, there's no way that I want to see him that early. I think the best case scenario is that Russell Wilson, obviously being healthy, plays the whole season. What are your thoughts on Jackson Dart? And based on what you've seen from him improving, what is your expectation for him this year?
Yeah, so I would say with Dart, when they first got him, and I made calls around the league just about him, because I'm not the draft guru. Like that's not my thing. So like I rely on the people that I've been fortunate enough to meet across the NFL who do that for a living and watch more tape than I could ever imagine. Their opinions matter more than mine. So it's like you kind of compile enough of those, and that's how I formulate my own. He seemed, and he was described to me as someone like he needs to sit a full year. Like he would basically be a detriment to himself and the rest of the team if he had to play. But there is enough talent there that like that's why it's worth developing him. OTAs, minicamp, and these first couple weeks of training camp, Russell Wilson is very clearly the best quarterback on the Giants roster. I think Jackson Dart's their second best quarterback, and I think he is somebody that. He's not going to win you games himself. He's not going to be the reason that you win games. But I genuinely believe that the Giants and Brian Daboll could build a game plan around Jackson Dart and trying to make Jackson Dart's life easy, where he could be a serviceable quarterback this year if he had to play. Perfect world, though, as you said, he does not play. Like ideally, Russell Wilson has a little bit of a career renaissance, looks really good for the Giants. They find a way to win 7-8 games this year, and they're a competitive team with Russell Wilson, who gets the offensive line to play better and the running backs to play better and Neighbors to reach another level and Wandell to reach another level, and let Dart just sit and learn until he takes over as a franchise quarterback next year. If, though, you have to break glass in case of emergency, whether because the Giants have lost a ton of games and it's self-preservation mode for Brian Daboll or an injury or anything like that, I don't think that he would be the liability that I was originally led to believe early during the draft process. Like he does seem genuinely to be picking up this offense pretty well, can make the throws. His biggest issue, and you've seen it, I've seen it, he has a tendency that when everything breaks down to hold the ball. Yeah. And that's going to lead in camp. It's just you hold the ball and it's like, oh, we held the ball too long. In the NFL, he's in a game on Sunday, he's going to get clobbered. And that's something you obviously don't want.
Yeah. I hope I'm optimistic that Russell Wilson does well enough that we don't have to see Jackson Dart this year, but time will tell. Let's move along to the defense. I know we have just been obsessed with Abdul Carter. He's so fun to watch. One thing that I think hasn't been talked about a lot is Brian Burns. Yes. And I think that also Kayvon Thibodeau is really going to benefit from someone like Carter. But the thing that I love about Burns is he is intense all the time.
Yeah.
Like when I see him at practice, I'm like, if he was allowed to tackle the quarterback, he would have injured every single one of them at this point because he just is go full speed ahead all the time.
Yeah.
What do you think about Brian Burns this year, and what have you seen from him?
I think he is criminally underrated across the NFL. I genuinely believe he's one of those guys that is among the best at his position. He's somebody who's sound against the run, is a very, very good pass rusher, is a physical freak. Like when you stand next to him, he's one of those guys, you have him every now and then. Like NFL players are big, but there's a couple guys that will walk by and you're just like, what the hell? Like I'm not talking like big like Dex, who's just like, 300 something pounds. Like Burns is built in a way that you're just like, how is that a human being? Like one of those things, like just tall, physical, all muscle freak. And he combines that with athleticism. That's just, I genuinely believe that if you made a list of like players that could play both ways, if they had to, I think Burns could play offense if he wanted to play offense. Like he's that good. And he seems this year to even have maybe it's because his second year in New York and he's a little bit more confident. He seems to kind of have this like attitude about him now where he's so comfortable for this team, for this city, that I genuinely believe he could have a very, very, very big year because he is just playing, and you can see it. He is playing with such confidence. And not that he was unconfident last year, but it's just a whole different level with him right now. And I genuinely believe, like when that trade went down, it was like, oh, cool, the Giants got Brian Burns. He's a good football player. I think he's a very, very, very good to potentially great football player. Like that guy's just, the Giants are lucky to have him. The Giants are really lucky to have him.
I think there's so much to like about him. Like I loved last year the way that he spoke out about the things that he saw in the locker room and thought that they were not great. So I love that he's got that veteran presence. He's not afraid to be a leader. And last week, the play that he chased down Wandale, where they ended up colliding, I was like, this guy's like a psychopath, but in the best way. Like I love that for the football players on this team. Do you think there's anything of note to discuss with the linebackers? Obviously, they're not tackling, so I feel like I haven't really seen that much from them. I expect a bounce back year from Bobby O. He talked recently in an interview about Shane Bowen and some of the issues that they had last year and how this year is different. So I'm optimistic about him and McFadden going into the last year of his deal.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything there. Like I don't think either of those guys, I don't think they're all pro players. Like but you don't need them. Like I don't think there's any defense. It's kind of rare now where you're like, oh my God, unless you're like the 49ers, but I don't think you need an elite level linebacker to be a great team. Like I don't. So like the Giants have two good ones. They're good NFL starting linebackers. And in camp, that's what they've looked like. Like at no point in training camp have I come away and been like, oh my God, Giants have a linebacker problem. Like it's just not, it's, again, you can't have all pros and pro bowlers at every single position. So it's a great peace of mind to just know that you have two players at that spot where you just don't have to worry about them. Like you realize, unless they get hurt, you really don't have to worry about Okereke. You don't have to worry about Micah. It's just, okay, we know we got that. We're good. Like we're good. We have two players in there that are going to play and going to make some plays, and they're not a liability in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. One of the players that I've felt a little bit like that is Banks, in the sense that I'm not entirely worried about him because, similar to Jaylen Hyatt, I think he has a new attitude this year. I think that's a big part of it. The second thing is that his rookie year, when he was so successful with the Giants, he wasn't the cornerback one. He was the cornerback two, and that's what he's going to be again this year. The thing that obviously is a concern with Banks, couple things. Number one, he never turns his head around. But the second thing is that Cordell Flott seems to be right on his tails for the cornerback two position. Do you think that Banks is only getting all of the snaps now because Flott is dealing with some sort of injury, or you think he's really beaten out Flott for that role?
I think that he's going to ultimately be the corner. I don't think it's done yet. I think the Giants are still going to keep giving. There's, again, Tay's biggest issue is maturity, and there's other levels to it. Like you said, he doesn't locate the ball ever. But it was a maturity which led to effort. Like those two things go hand in hand. If you're immature and then you're checking out, and then you have veteran guys like Burns and Dexter Lawrence, we're not going to let that slide on defense. I mean, Dex was ready to wring his neck like the one game. Like he was furious at him, and then talking about it afterward, like he was livid. So they had no choice when they benched him last year. When they did, like they had to, like they had no choice. But Dex was gonna lose his mind. But I think he seems to be in a little bit of a better headspace in a way. I probably wanted to hear a little bit more accountability when he talked to the media, but he's never been a media darling. Like he's never been somebody that it's just not the way that he does it. He's never been his style. The Giants want him to win that job, though, and I don't think he's done anything to this point in camp to lose it. I also don't think that Flott has done anything in camp to steal the job from him, per se. But I think I'm probably a little more concerned with that spot than you are. Just I think I'm a little more worried about him long term. And if things start going south, are those immaturity concerns going to rear their ugly head again? If he's given the starting job and it's a bad game and he's just not having his way and it's the third quarter, is he going to check out for a play and then really really going to burn the Giants? Where is he? And I will say defensively now, they have enough leaders back there, whether it's Holland, whether it's Nubin really stepping into that role, Adebo, Akereke, Dex. Abdul Carter is not somebody who's going to take anything from anybody. Like I know he's a rookie, but it's not going to be long before he's letting his voice be heard too. I don't think it's going to slide anymore. I don't think that that's going to be enabled anymore. It's almost like a self-policing locker room, and I think he'll be put into shape and put into line. And if he doesn't, they're going to go to Flott. And I think that's what Brian Dable and Bowen and Shane have all illustrated here with this open competition is like, dude, the scholarship's over. Like, yeah, you were a first round pick. We're not going to let what happened the last couple of years keep going. And if you're our best corner, we'll play you. If you're not, we're going to somebody else.
Yeah, that's how it should be. Do you think the new cornerbacks coach has made any type of difference for him? I heard he didn't love Jerome Henderson. So I wonder if that change made any sort of difference as well, or if that will continue throughout the season if he does have issues.
It's so I will say this about Banks, and you can make this argument about Flott too. I mean, we'll learn as the season goes on. It's tough to tell now in the middle of camp. Like they say it, like they'll say all the right things. They'll say, yes, it's great. Like, yeah, we're connecting well, but you have to see it in games. The only time that this secondary really gets burned is Neighbors. Like that's it. Like 99.9% of the highlights from Giants camp are Malik Neighbors. And Neighbors, this isn't like past camps I've covered where one corner is just having a bad year or bad summer and they're just getting picked on time and time and time again. Neighbors was beating Banks and Flott pretty consistently. At practice on Friday, I think it was at the Jets. Yeah, on Friday, he was torching Paulson Adebo. So he torched Paulson Adebo for 2 touchdowns. This afternoon, it was Drew Phillips. He beat Drew Phillips for like 2 long completions down the field. He just beats everybody. So Drew Phillips is a really good nickel corner. Paulson Adebo is a really good corner in the NFL. Like Banks will see and Flott will see, but like the only time they're really getting beat is when it's Neighbors beating them. They've done a pretty good job on Wandale. They've done a pretty good job on Slayton. They've done a pretty good job on Hyatt. Those guys will still make plays, but it's not like, and we track every play at camp because it's not a quarterback competition, but when there's a rookie quarterback, you're tracking every play. This isn't like I'm looking down and being like, oh, Banks beat again. Oh, Banks beat again. Oh, Banks beat again. Oh, it's nothing like that. So again, I'm very curious to see him in the preseason if he's going to play a decent amount, which I expect him to now, here's an offense that you don't know, a team that's trying to get open on you. What are you going to look like? Like, I'm very, very curious and fascinated to see how he shapes up because it's easy to get discouraged by it. But then when you realize, wait, no, that was just Neighbors again. No, that was Neighbors again. No, that's just Malik again. It kind of makes a little more sense. No, this guy's just, I genuinely believe we're going to talk about Neighbors in like a top 5 category at the end of this year. It might just be that Neighbors is really good more than they're struggling, but we'll find out here in the coming weeks.
Yeah, Neighbors seems to make every catch that comes his way, no matter where the ball is. Like there's no one who's going to be able to stop him. And even last year, 1,200 yards with 4 of the maybe worst quarterback room in the NFL. Like the guy's a freak. I want to touch on this briefly. Is you cover the Giants and the Jets. So what have you seen between both of the practices? Is there a different intensity level? Is the coach? I'm sure the coaching style is very different, but what have you noticed anything specific between the 2 practices?
Yeah, the Jets right now is much more intense and the Jets right now is much more physical. And I don't say that as a a negative towards Dable, like Brian. This isn't a negative towards him or a dig at him. The Jets and the Giants ran very similar training camps last year when Robert Saleh was the Jets coach. Like, it was very similar in intensity and all that stuff. When Aaron Glenn took over the Jets, he believed that the team needed a swift kick in the you-know-where. So it is intentionally ramped up. It is intentionally not like the Jets literally are doing in practice full tackle drills. Like, they are tackling guys to the ground, which is unheard of. Like, maybe Joe Judge did that a little bit, but like McAdoo didn't do that. Saleh didn't do that. Gase didn't do that. Todd Bowles didn't do that. Like, none of the coaches I've covered have done that except for maybe in like one little scrimmage period. That's it. Especially starters. Like, sometimes they would have the backups tackle each other. The starters never tackled each other. So Glenn is literally having, like, Quincy Williams blew up Breece Hall in practice 2 days ago. Like, so that's happening at Jets practice right now. And it's intentional by their organization, though, because they believe that they need a legitimate change of the between the ears. Like, they need a mental adjustment. They need to be, I think the Jets realize that they're not the most talented team right now. So they need to be able to, very similar to the Giants back in 2022 when they made the playoffs, and they weren't that talented either. Their goal was, we're going to out ugly you. We are going to play ugly football. We're going to drag you into the deep end. It's going to be terrible, and we're going to see if you can swim out here. Like, it's going to be nasty, and we're going to see if you can swim. And if you can, we're probably going to lose the game. If you can't, we're going to win it 13-6. Or we're going to win it 20-14. Like, they were just going to try to out ugly you for 60 minutes. That's the style of football the Jets are going to play, but they haven't played that the last couple of years. They've been a finesse football team. So now with Aaron Glenn in there, he's trying to get a little bit of that grit, that like Detroit Lions style, like that MFU, MF me kind of a thing. Like, that's what they're trying to build there, which is a little bit different than the way that Brian Dable runs it with the Giants.
I know that's not Dable's like real style, but I think that based on what we've seen the last couple of years from this Giants football team, I think they could benefit from those types of practices. Do you think it's an injury thing or it's a coaching style thing? Like, I know the Giants always seem to be riddled with injuries compared to so many other teams. But I'm also like, you now this year have two division rivals, week 1 and week 2. You can't do what you've done the last couple of years and come out slow. You can't afford to do
that. I will say, like, every time I see it happen at Jets practice, part of me is like, man, it takes one little ugly roll and Garrett Wilson's blowing out his knee. Or you guys are going full tackle in the middle. Okay, Breece Hall goes down to Quincy Williams and he rolls into Elijah Vera-Tucker, and suddenly Elijah Vera-Tucker's hurt. Olu Fashanu goes down. Like, I don't think it's smart, personally. Like, I get it. It's a tackle sport. You're not going to get better at tackling unless you're tackling, but I just don't think the reward. I don't think the risk outweighs the reward, personally. So I actually agree a little bit more with what Brian Dable does than what Aaron Glenn's doing. But we'll see.
Yeah. Based on what I heard Dable say about the starters during preseason, I think we'll probably see the starters week 2 more than anything else. What do you think about that? And if that's the case, do you think we see Dart week 1, or it'll start with Jameis and then go to Dart?
So we were just talking about that on the sideline. I genuinely don't know what they're going to do. So I would tend to hedge towards you, right? Like, that would be my thought process as well. Is like, you don't play anyone week 1, you play them in week 2, then no one plays week 3, you get ready for the regular season. But they're having those joint practices with the Jets. So they might play the starters for a series or 2 series here in the opener against the Bills, then turn it over to Jackson, then Jameis, then have Tommy do mop-up duty in the fourth quarter. Because you're going to have 2 full days with the Jets where it's like, okay, we're going to have 2 full days of scrimmaging with the Jets. Why do we then need to throw our starters out again in the preseason game? You know what I mean? Like, that's where it gets that's where it's interesting to me. And it's interesting, like, where the preseason game lines up. Like, almost like if the Giants were playing week 3 in the preseason, like, well, then obviously you're not going to play them. So I wish I have no idea. Like, it's really, I can't figure it out. Dable hasn't told us yet. I think we'll probably hear from him. I think like I said, I'm all off with my schedule right now. Thursday is, I think, the next time at the Giants. I think we'll probably find out then what he's going to do, or at least he'll give us a little indication, unless he's in a mood, which he's been in quite often in camp and doesn't want to say anything.
The way that he's talked about Cam Scadaboo's injury without actually saying anything makes me want to bang my head against the wall. It drives me literally insane.
Meanwhile, you have the Eagles like putting out a full-on like practice injury report. Like the Eagles literally released like a AJ Brown hamstring will not practice, like all like full-on practice report. And it's like these teams just all outsmart themselves. All of them outsmart themselves. It drives me nuts.
You and me both. All right, let's end it with this. Based on what you've seen at the Giants practice and the Jets practice and their schedules, who do you think wins more games?
So I will be honest. I think the Giants are the better team than the Jets. I do genuinely believe that. I think the Giants have a little bit more. I like the Giants quarterback situation a little bit more. Justin Fields is really struggling this summer. I also like some of the pieces the Giants have to complement their stars. So the Jets have a really, really good pass rusher in Will McDonald and Quinnen Williams. They got a question mark with Jermaine Johnson coming off the knee. Well, the Giants have now Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Dexter Lawrence. Like they've got a lot there. Linebackers are pretty much a wash. Giants playmakers, I like their wide receivers 2 and 3 more than I like the Jets wide receivers 2 and 3. So if you want to wash out Garrett and Malik, well, I will take Darius Slayton over Josh Reynolds. I will take Wan'Dale Robinson over Josh Myers. Like I think those things, like it just gives the Giants an edge. The problem is that Giants schedule is miserable. Like that is wild. Where the Giants could legitimately be a better team this year and still win like 4 games. Like that could absolutely be the case. So I think the Jets are going to be an ugly, nitty-gritty 6 to 7 win football team. They could be a 5 to 6 win football team if Justin Fields is really, really bad and then Tyrod Taylor gets hurt. I think the Giants are probably around that 5-win-ish mark, just because I look at that schedule and maybe they're better than I think, but it's almost a challenge to find 5 wins with that schedule. It's murderous row. But it's like teams. I've seen this before. Like teams will have like a hard 4-game stretch. The Giants have a hard 11-game stretch. Like I've never seen anything like it to start. Anything at all.
I'm like, can you give us a break? Like, we've had a rough go, us Giants fans. Like, let us just go to a home game and hope that we're not going to get blown out 40 to nothing.
Yep. Yeah. It's something.
It's very disappointing. But okay, with all of that being said, thank you so much for joining me. Tell everyone where they can find you, and I'll link all of your socials.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was a blast. I appreciate you having me on. Anytime you need anything, let me know. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram, same handle, Connor_J_Hughes. And then all over SNY. So SNY on TV and SNY.TV online. Like all my stuff, you can find me there.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
No problem. Thank you for having me.